who is the most likely nominee to head the US Department of Defense and the new agenda of the world politics led again by the United States. This and more in our today's video. Let's go. During a January 14th confirmation hearing, President-elect Donald Trump's defense secretary nominee Pete Hegseth faced intense scrutiny over his failure to mention Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in his opening statement. When asked by the Armed Services Committee if the omission signaled a potential shift in U.S. support for Ukraine, Hegseth responded that we know who the aggressor is and we know who the good guy is. We want a resolution that advantages for Ukrainians, but the war must come to an end. The committee is expected to vote on Hegseth's confirmation soon, with a full Senate vote to follow. Hegseth's nomination has sparked controversy, with critics questioning his qualifications. If confirmed, he would oversee 1.3 million troops, 750 civilian employees, and an $850 billion defense budget. Known for his isolationist views, Hegseth has previously called for reducing the U.S. role in NATO. A former Army National Guard infantry captain who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, Hegseth later led the conservative group Concerned Veterans for America, and they authored the War on Warriors in 2024. He also made an unsuccessful bid for the U.S. Senate in Minnesota in 2012. His nomination continues to raise debate over the future direction of U.S. defense policy under the incoming administration. But nonetheless, the politics in the U.S. are shifting from reactive policy to shaping the world agenda. If for the last 3 years the axis of evil, these countries, knew what to expect from the U.S. officials, but now, with surprises over the Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Channel, the masterminds in the Kremlin won't know what to expect from the new administration and will have to react to the new world agenda shaped by these new administrators in American politics.
We know who the aggressor is. We know who the good guy is. We'd like to see the resolution of the war be as advantageous for the Ukrainians as possible. Pete Hegseth, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to be defense secretary.
Well, as far as we can see, the world agenda is really changing. Remember when Trump ordered a mass strike on the Assad forces back in the day? President Trump then ordered the attack on Al-Shariat Air Base, the base from which the chemical attack on Syria's Idlib province was launched. The missiles were launched from US Navy ships in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. Who knows what happens when the axis of evil will try to do something against the US interests worldwide. And for the guest today, we have Ivan Stupak, a well-known military analyst and a former employee of the Security Service of Ukraine. Mr. Stupak, I welcome you.
Hello. Glad to be with you.
Thank you for being in our studio again. And today I would like to discuss you the current geopolitical agenda that is shaped at the moment by the President-elect Trump and his possibly new Department of Defense and other departments. The first one is an interesting opinion that all this show with Canada, with Greenland, with the Panama Channel, all the allegations and claims is a move, a geopolitical and diplomatic move to take back the initiative from the axis of evil from Russia, Iran, who have been doing something and then the United States reacts, to make United States foreign policy not reactive, but proactive. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's a tricky question. Look, currently, right now, we are not totally sure what would be foreign policy of Mr. Trump and his team after January the 21st January, after his inauguration as the president of the United States. Nobody knows. Nobody knows about his team. Nobody knows about, for 100% about his advisors, his people who will realize his policy over Ukraine, over Iran, North Korea, etc., etc., etc. So I prefer to stay and wait until Mr. Trump will form his team and start making his own policy toward, as I mentioned, Iran or North Korea. And currently, right now, we are totally sure, and lots of rumors we can hear that Mr. Trump he definitely realize that it's impossible, totally impossible, to finish Russian-Ukrainian war in 24 hours, as he declared before election campaign. So now he understands that it will take probably several months. It's to reduce this war or to move it toward the finish.
And also, we have the hearings in the United States about the new nominee for the defense secretary. And on that hearings, he said that we know who is the aggressor and we know who defends. We would like Ukraine to be in the strongest position possible. Do you think that will change the United States policy according to Ukrainian aid, the support for Ukraine in this war against Russia, will lead to escalation, or this will deter further escalation from the Russian side?
Unfortunately, right now, these words are not enough to reduce this war, to move to the peace, to the point of ceasing fire, to cease fire. I will explain you why. Because Secretary of Defense is just a position. Okay, he is the highest official in military hierarchy, but he totally depends on the political decisions of Mr. Trump. And as I mentioned before, nobody knows what would be Mr. Trump policy about supplying Ukraine with military equipment, supplying Ukraine with military aid, with funds, etc., etc. So, okay, right now it's a good sign to Ukraine that support will continue, but nobody knows exactly.
Yes, and concerning other some peculiarities of what has recently happened, we have seen several North Korean captives captured in the Kursk region, and recently we have one more confession and interrogation of another prisoner of war. How the world is, I cannot say reacts, there's a complete lack of reaction, except for South Korea that asks Ukraine to hold them back to South Korea.
Look, it's an incredibly interesting topic we would like to discuss, but we have to understand that lots of leaders from the Western world, they currently don't know what reaction they should make towards this situation, because okay, Ukrainians were able to capture several of North Korean soldiers, two conscripti, two conscripts, and what else they can do? They can do nothing. I mean, more. Of course, from Ukrainian side, we are waiting that Germany, France, UK, United States, they will significantly increase supplying Ukraine with F-16, with F-35. I'm joking. With long-range missiles, whatever. But lots of European leaders currently they are looking towards United States and waiting, as I also mentioned before, what policy gonna make Mr. Trump and his team over Ukraine, over Iran, etc., etc., etc. So now we have some kind of stalemate in foreign policy and in European Union. Nobody knows how to react, what they have to do, and as we know, some countries, for example, Germany, now suffering some crisis. They moving towards changing some configuration in the policy, and Alternative for Germany political party, right-wing party, is probably gonna be next dominant party in German policy. And as far as we know, this party tends toward Russia. So the situation currently is very uncertain, and as I mentioned for a third time or fourth time, we should wait until everything would be settled. I mean, about the foreign policy of the United States, and then we could start predicting some next steps of Mr. Trump and his team.
Thank you very much. So we can sum it up to the quote, the world is waiting. The world is waiting for what will happen, what will be the foreign policy of the global policeman, the United States, which we have been used to seeing that country in such a role after the World War II and after the NATO and Warsaw Bloc forming. And also maybe the world leaders and some parties will understand that tending to such populist politicians is not the way to fix problems, because populism doesn't solve problems. It promises to solve problems. We have right now in Slovakia that Robert Fico will be presented with a votum of not believing him. So it will be a question, yes, a votum of not believing him, and another also elections possibly in Slovakia because of his Moscow trip and his pro-Russian policies and tendencies and rhetorics. So pro-Western and opposition parties will initiate that process.
Yeah, and look, in general term, what we have discussed with you, the world, I mean, a progressive world, progressive countries, they are in a standby mode. So everyone is waiting what's going to be next. And as you mentioned about this example of Mr. Fico, it's just one more example that everything could be changed with a finger clicks. That democracy is working, but currently democracy is not so reactive. It's more reactive, yeah, but not proactive as dictatorships, because dictatorships are more effective in some turbulence, in some decision making, but democracies are too slow, lots of discussion, lots of opinion, and time is running out.
Yeah, I believe that being proactive in the authoritarian states is because they don't have to plan elections. They don't have to win power back again from the nation, from the people.
And all depends, everything is depends on a decision, but by only one person. It doesn't matter. It was Nikolai Ceausescu, Vladimir Putin, Bashar Assad. They are all dictators, and they have enormous rights, enormous power within their countries, and they could make some decisions very quick, very fast, very effective, as we could see about cooperation with North Korea, with Iran and Russia. And for right now, about 60% of supplied shells to Russian army, they were supplied by North Korea. So also North Korea quickly respond on request of Russian Federation and supplied Russia with about 11 to 12 thousands of North Korean soldiers. So it's very quick response.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stupak. So we have finalized that the world is waiting for something to happen after January 20th. And I'll ask our viewers to remind how Nicolas Ceausescu and Muammar Gaddafi and even Bashar al-Assad, how they ended. So these were dictators not so long ago, from the late 80s to 2024. All dictators tend to end their rule very violently and not in their favor.
For sure.
Thank you very much for being in our studio today, Mr. Stupak, and hope to see you again. Thank you.